This video is going up today whether I like it or not. Hi, my name is Jacie. If you are unfamiliar with my story, it's a long one. It's a roller coaster. I have other videos about it, but to quickly summarize, I've been carnivore for 4 years. Midway through that journey, I became very sick with an autoimmune condition that was triggered by CIRS, or chronic inflammatory response syndrome. And that is a thing that happens when someone who's genetically predisposed to being really bad at eliminating a biotoxin encounters that biotoxin. For me, it was a combination of mold and the pokey poke, if you know what I mean. One really interesting realization I've had through this chronic illness journey and healing from that chronic illness has been a highlight of my worst coping mechanisms. Today, I want to talk to you about my shopping coping mechanism. I participate in addictive-like behaviors around shopping when I'm uncomfortable with my life situation. This was first highlighted to me this time last year when I was going through some relationship stuff with family and people close to me, and I just felt so uncomfortable with where I was in my life. I felt like I had had this trajectory and then I became sick and I lost that trajectory. I was so uncomfortable with that reality that I would fantasy buy in another direction. For me, fantasy buying is this idea of manifesting the future that you want by purchasing something rather than actually going out and achieving that thing that you want. So for example, if you wanted to be a yogi, all you have to do is show up at the mat. You have to roll out your yoga mat, do the poses, and that alone will make you a yogi. But that's hard. You have to show up at the mat. You have to do that consistently. What I would do is, instead of practicing yoga, instead of doing the thing that would actually get me towards my goals, I would just buy yoga pants. And I'm not saying this literally, I'm just giving this as an example, but I would hit that dopamine button by buying the yoga pants rather than actually doing the thing that would get me towards that goal. Once I realized that, I consumed a lot of content around it. I eventually found Hannah Louise Poston. She's here on YouTube. She's amazing. She did a whole no-buy year in order to kind of retrain her brain around her shopping coping mechanism. And so I started to implement these monthly no-buys. For me, that was really helpful. It just kind of cut the cord between me and that shopping coping mechanism. But throughout last year, I would notice these feelings of not enoughness, and then I would do a no-buy. I would feel not enough, and then I would do a no-buy. And it was kind of this binary all or nothing. This year, I'm really motivated to have more moderation, to learn how to be moderate around this thing that I do enjoy. Because at the end of the day, I do love girly right? I like doing my hair and I like doing my makeup and I like getting dressed every day. And I do think that can be leveraged as a wellness tool. When you have that biofeedback of looking at yourself in the mirror and presenting to yourself in a certain way, then it kind of confirms and validates those feelings about yourself. So for example, if you're someone who is very sick, it can be hard to feel like you are someone who deserves to be taken care of. It can be hard to feel like you are a person who is deserving of kind of the bare minimum. By showing up every day for yourself, taking care of yourself, and presenting yourself in the way that's pleasing to you, pleasing to no one but you, in the world, it kind of gives you evidence that you are someone who is worthy of being taken care of, and you are. If that needs to be said, you are a person who is worthy of being taken care of. You deserve to be taken care of. You deserve to heal. Your body wants to heal. You just have to give it the tools it needs and then get out of your own way. And that's really what this journey was for me, is just reminding myself that I am worthy, I am capable, I am enough as I am. It's for me this project of balancing my love of beautiful things with the reality that I also have financial and wellness goals that can be hindered by this shopping coping mechanism. So I want all the positive aspects of this hobby of mine, and I want none of the bad aspects of it. And I think a way to approach this, a way to approach learning moderation and kind of building my muscles of moderation, is through this project. I'm calling it the Fewer Things, Less Stuff project, and it's a 4-step process, and it's meant to achieve a couple of things. One is moderation, as I said, kind of tempering that shopping addiction while also allowing myself the freedom to participate in the hobbies that I love. But also, I have an illness that is really affected by the cleanliness of my surroundings, and so dust is something that I really try to keep under control. And it's easier to manage dust if I have less possession possessions. On top of that, I also feel like I am surrounded by stuff, like just clutter and stuff, when I don't actually enjoy those things. Like if they aren't things that I love and they are in my environment, they're in my space, they become clutter and stuff to me. Whereas if it's something that I love, I would never feel that way about it. It's something that's actually giving something to me aesthetically or functionally. The fewer things, less stuff project is really meant to help me moderate, help me be surrounded by the best of its kind, the things I love the very most. And ultimately, I hope to leave this year with fewer things, less stuff, less clutter, fewer things that don't contribute to my well-being. So step one, we're getting into the meat of this. Step one is to declutter. I went through everything. I pulled out anything that didn't spark joy or didn't have a functional purpose in my life. Anything that felt like clutter to me, gone. I went ahead and donated about 4 bags of stuff. That in itself feels gross. Like the fact that I've accumulated 4 bags of stuff that I don't really love, like that doesn't feel good to me. I don't want to do more of that. So step two. Step two is cataloging everything. I took everything in my wardrobe because that's really where I struggle, but you could do this in any category you might struggle with. And I ranked it as either a heart or a mid. If it's a heart, it's something I love. It's something that sparks joy in me and I'm excited to own. I'm excited to have in my space. If it's a mid, it's more of something that's currently filling a hole. Like it's filling a gap in my wardrobe. I think I need it, and interestingly, I'm not quite sure I actually need these mid pieces. I just think I need them, but we'll get into that in step 4. Step 3 is my coping mechanisms for shopping. So the actual management or guardrails I'm putting into place for myself around shopping. So one is a budget. I am a person of limited means, and therefore I can only spend so much of my monthly budget on beautiful things. I have that as a guardrail. Another guardrail I have is something that I don't know if this is going to resonate with anyone else. I have a habit of accumulating cheap stuff. I think it's going to fulfill this fantasy, but it's actually not that great of a thing. One of the guardrails I'm putting into place for myself is, would I pay $50 for it? Regardless of its actual price, would I part with $50, which is a significant amount of money for me at this stage of my life? Would I part with 50 of my dollars for that thing? I think this is a good metric for me because it's going to prevent me from accumulating a lot of cheap stuff, but we'll see. I'll definitely keep you updated as to how it goes. And then another metric I'll use is this thing I'm thinking about buying as great as one of my favorite things? Does it spark that much joy within me? And then step 4, and here's where it gets interesting. So for everything that comes in, anything that comes into my life, one thing has to leave, right? So if I buy a new thing, I have to remove an old thing. I think at the start, I'm going to lose a lot of those mid pieces that I think I need, that I think are filling a gap in my closet. But over time, my goal and my hope is that I will end up with only hearts on that catalog spreadsheet of things that I have. And then it's going to become really difficult for me if I'm considering bringing something new into my life. It would be really hard for me to want to part with heart in order to bring in something new, something untested, something I don't already love. That's my goal, at least. That's my hope. I think that's how this is going to play out, but life is life, and I guess we're gonna see how it goes. But I'll definitely check in with you guys and let you know how things are going along the way. If you're interested in those updates, if you're interested in my experience with having and now recovering from a chronic illness and living and managing my life with CIRS, then I hope you subscribe. Leave me a comment down below if there's a particular piece of content you would like to see from me. I would love to share that with you. And if you did like this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up. All right, I think that's all I have to say. I have had the hardest time filming this video, so apologies if it was weird, apologies if it felt mildly chaotic. I promise I'm going to keep showing up imperfectly here. So thank you for watching today, and I'll see you all in the next imperfect one. Okay, bye.